everybody. Good President's Day to you here on a Monday with Longshore and McKnight. Presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. As you can tell, a lot still going on after a big weekend. I believe Barry's back in Troy. Who knows?
Yes.
Where are you today?
I am in Troy, Alabama for at least a week now after, again, 10 or 11 days on the road. Out of the last 13, I am back at home all week, and it was a good weekend. A lot of good basketball, and I suspect we're going to talk about that quite a bit on the show. The theater that was in Tuscaloosa was certainly compelling, all the way from college game day to the actual game. Auburn, number one in the country, beats Alabama 94-85. All is not lost, Alabama. Yes, they did roll Toomer's corner at Auburn. It was a win over the number 2 team in the country. But the Crimson Tide still projected as a number 1 seed in the NCAA men's basketball tournament. They haven't lost that. So it's not all bad, but it surely was good for Auburn, John. Surely was a good day for Auburn.
It was outstanding for the Auburn Tigers. And they played well, played extremely well. Wow, I don't know where to start. I hope I don't forget anything there, because you made a lot of good points, and I want to touch on every one of them. First and foremost, the better team won. I've been saying it since November. You know, it's about the eye test with me. And my eyes have told me for months now, Auburn's the best team in the country. They got the most depth. Whoever comes off the bench, they don't skip a beat. Janai Broome is a force. There's no doubt about that. And Alabama did not have an answer. To me, Barry, Alabama looked flustered. They didn't look in control. Obviously, the three-point shot wasn't there. But, I mean, they're getting balls swatted away underneath the bucket. There was a lot of frustration with this Alabama team as you saw the game play on. And the more Alabama got frustrated, the more I saw Auburn getting confident.
I think that's valid. I do. Auburn played with confidence despite it being a sellout crowd and a boisterous crowd. And, you know, the student section was on Auburn from the start. Little disappointed in the non-student section over there. Late in the game when it was still up for grabs. You look as Auburn came down the court, and you see the students losing their minds over on the baseline in the corners and stuff. But you see all of the, I want to say alums, all of the older fans over on this side, they're just sitting there. And I'm thinking, come on now, let's go. But I think your point is right about this. Auburn never trailed in the game. Yeah. You know, Alabama made a run. They tied it up a couple of times. Kind of like back-to-back in about a minute and a half. They tied it. Auburn got the lead. They tied it again, and then Auburn was off again, and they end up winning it by 9. But it was the manner in which Auburn won that surprised me. I mean, I'm with you. They were the better team. You go into a place like that, the number 2 team in the country, and you handle yourselves that way was pretty impressive. Pretty good.
It was very impressive.
Yes.
There again, I was very impressed with what I saw out of Auburn. I mean, Barry, they hit 3 threes before, you know, you can sit down in your seat and you can see the tone was set right there. I mean, yes. Alabama's down 9-0 in their own gym early, crowds out of the game. I don't think there was any intimidation factor with Auburn. They stepped in there, took care of business. And there again, I don't want to harp on this, but I thought it all day Saturday when I watched it. In the post-game wrap-up clip that you might have seen our good friends from Yellowhammer News put together, I've been saying it since November. This should not have been a shock to anybody. You know, Alabama went off as a favorite, which kind of surprised me. But I was not surprised at the outcome of the game. Midweek last week, I picked Auburn to win it on the show. I just think they're the better team. And there's something about this Alabama team. They go through lapses. They get through periods where they turn the ball over, even though they didn't turn it over as much as they normally do Saturday against Auburn. But, I mean, Barry, I don't think I've ever seen an Alabama team in the last 2 years be as cold behind the three-point line as they were Saturday.
I can't recall it. John, they were 5 for 26. They hit 5 3-pointers all game. Sears was 2 for 11. At what point does he think, there's probably I mean, he had a big 3 in the second half, I think, to tie it. But at one point does he say, Auburn's playing off of me for a reason.
Yeah.
They're letting me shoot these outside shots for a reason. I think I'm going to shoot another one, It just was not there, and it was surprising. You and I talked about this. They didn't really have a plan B once the 3 had forsaken them, and it forsook them early.
And the dribble drive, looping around underneath the bucket that Sears is famous for, just trying to get the easy bucket underneath, that wasn't there either. I mean,
no.
Auburn seemed to swat away more balls underneath the bucket. And there again, that adds to the frustration factor. I think there was a lot of frustration on this Alabama team because things weren't working. And to Auburn's credit, they weren't working because nothing under the goal was going in, and certainly nothing behind the three-point line was going in either.
Auburn had 6 blocks in the game, and JD says, here comes the Bammers were cold shooting. Well, they were. Auburn had a lot to do with it. I hope I made that point,
sure.
JD. Alabama wasn't shooting the ball well, and Auburn had a lot to do with it. The defense for Auburn, they did the things that play on the road. They played good defense.
Yeah.
They took care of the basketball. They never got flustered, and believe me, that place was rocking. It was really good, and Auburn never blinked. They looked every bit like the best team in America, and like that they acted like the best team in America should act like and play like.
On the road, hostile environment, didn't get flustered. There again, my eyes have been telling me for months this is the best team in the country. There again, wasn't surprised. I tell you what I am surprised about, though, Barry. You mentioned it, and I saw it as well. This was pregame, but is Alabama still a number 1 seed? I mean, really, from what we saw Saturday and based on what's coming, I mean, their schedule is not, a walk in the park from here on out. They got some top-rated teams they got to tussle with. I don't see them beating every one of those teams.
Well,
Florida, Tennessee. Are they a number 1 seed?
Well, they are right now, but you're right. The late part of the schedule will tell. At Missouri, Kentucky and Mississippi State at home, at Tennessee, Florida at home, then at Auburn. They could have gone a long way towards solidifying that, but I think as of right now, they're still a top 4 seed, but there's a lot of basketball to be played.
Let me ask you this. If they lose 3 more, and they'll have, 6 losses, 7 losses?
Yes.
Can you be a number 1 seed with 7 losses?
No. I mean, they got to win. There's no doubt they got to win. And it ain't easy in this league.
No.
It's not like it's a blueprint that Auburn has shown the rest of the league. Now the rest of the league can look and see how in the world Auburn was able to keep Alabama to, what was it? Looking here, 39% shooting from the floor, which is not terrible. Now, I'm here to tell you 19% from three-point range is terrible. But it's something that people knew. I mean, if Alabama's not hitting the threes, that severely limits their effectiveness. The Auburn defense was able in the second half to kind of camp out a little bit, protect the rim, and there was no adjustment from the Tide at that point.
As you're watching the game, and I do want to apologize, I'm in an area where I'm still in D.C.,
Yep.
I can't get out of the nation's capital, but where I was able to broadcast on Friday, they're actually having a huge convention. So when I went down there this morning, I went, whoa. So I'm a little looking for, I'm in a good spot, but it's kind of a high traffic area. So please bear with me.
Is it a cool convention like, Hawaiian Tropic or?
This looks very nerdy. I mean, the people I've seen walk past me today, hey, nothing against you, buddy. But,
we're talking about everybody but you. Sorry.
Yeah, but this looks like a nerd convention going on. So there again, hopefully it'll die down. But there again, we're still good to go. All right. So how many people that were watching the game? How soon was it during the broadcast where you thought to yourself, Longshore's right. That media section over there looks terrible. It takes away from the excitement and the energy of this place that's lacking, that some people say is lacking anyway. It wasn't on Saturday, but you had all these sections. It was packed, standing room only, and then boom, there's that big wart over there. And I'm thinking, how many people saw that as they watched the game? I got a few texts. I got some feedback. Hey, Longshore, you're right. Burns got to do something about that. It looks terrible on TV. In a game like that, when you needed as much help as you could get with the fan base and those guys sitting on their phones playing, phone computer checkers or whatever they do, give me a break. Tired of it.
Maybe they can, I don't know, maybe some mahogany, get some contact paper, like deep wood grain contact paper and have the GAs plaster it on the side. Maybe it's just the color of it or something like that.
It drives me insane, but did get a little feedback on that. But Barry, it wouldn't have mattered on Saturday.
Would not.
If the fans would have been there, that would have not been that big of a difference in the Crimson Tide in winning the game. So, again, big win. I think we pretty much summed it up. If you can't hit your threes, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
Alabama didn't do it. There again, thought Alabama got frustrated, got flustered. And as much as Alabama got flustered, Auburn got more confident. That was one of the big differences in the game.
Yeah. Auburn ends up shooting 59% in the second half, 59% from the floor. They only missed 11 shots in 20 minutes in the second half. If there's one market difference, and again, Alabama's a very talented team. They're going to be fine. It's no, please don't, say you'll never go again or anything like that. But if there's one market difference in the teams, it's defensive intensity. Auburn in the second half shot 6 of 11 from 3-point range. Alabama was 2 of 15 from 3 in the first half. 2 of 15. They were 3 of 11 in the second half. 5 of 25 for the game from 3-point range. Janai Broome, 19 points, 14 rebounds, 6 assists. He kind of dictated things. Chad Baker-Mazara, 15 points in 23 minutes. So, yeah, Auburn had some firepower, but they also have what I still think is the best player in the country in Janai Broome.
Oh yeah, and there's just so many good players behind him, Barry, that can back him up. That's what is so impressive to me.
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't matter who's on the floor with or without him. There is just an extreme amount of talent on this Auburn basketball team. Now, we've already seen it. I knew it was coming, and I got to admit, Barry, I even thought about it. I'm really looking forward to Robbie's recap. Hey, that's something we ought to have on the show. Robbie's recap.
We can have it sponsored.
Yeah, I cannot wait to hear what Robbie's got to say about the game because he was pretty confident in a tied victory on Friday when he joined us. Tobias out in Arizona has already tapped in today. The sneaky issue for Alabama is that they have no one who can go get a bucket if the threes aren't falling. I kind of noticed that too, Tobias. I saw that was very appropriate to apparent to me on Saturday.
There was no plan B, that's for sure. Well, if it's a volume 3-point shooting team, the point has been made over and over again, not just by us, that they want to shoot threes and they want to get layups. If Auburn's defending the goal as well as they did, and Alabama's not hitting the threes, they are in serious trouble. But big win for Auburn. We'll talk it over with the voice of the Auburn Tigers, Andy Burcham, We are underway from Yellowhammer News. It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Why Hands? At Hands Heating and Air, you get this area's highest ranked service provider with 24-hour repair service, no overtime charges, and their same-day service guarantee. Plus, instead of other companies' 30-day repair warranty, Hands gives you a 3-year repair warranty. Hands Heating and Air is here for you 24/7, 365. And service is not just something they do, it's their way of operating, for you in mind. All of Hands employees are trained to adhere to this standard. They work hard to ensure that this standard is maintained, and they are constantly looking for new ways to better serve you. Call Hands Heating and Air today at 508-5382. That's 508-5382, or find them on the web at 834hands.com.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
All guests of Longshore McKnight appear on the City of Montgomery guest hotline. Check out the most interesting and informed personalities in sports covering Auburn, Alabama, Troy, ASU, and all the major teams from across the country. John and Barry have the best guests brought to you by the City of Montgomery. To find out everything you need to know that is going on in the capital city, check out montgomeryal.gov. That's montgomeryal.gov, the capital of dreams.
All righty, welcome back in, everybody, here on a Monday, Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. And Barry, I believe right now the voice of the Auburn Tigers, Andy Burcham, is going to join us here today on the program. Hey, Andy, good to see you today. Hope you're doing well.
I'm doing well, John. Very good to be with you on a beautiful, cool Monday.
I imagined you were going to be doing well. I imagined you were going to have a little spring to your step. Auburn wins on Saturday. You had the call from Tuscaloosa, 94-85. Andy, what were the challenges that you saw that presented itself to Auburn that they had to overcome Saturday?
Well, one was playing a really, really good Alabama team that is the best offensive team in the country right now, and trying to control a team that gets in transition as well as anyone, a team that shoots the three off transition, and to face a team in an environment. And I've been to Coleman Coliseum. Well, I've been doing Auburn basketball, either men's or women's, for 37 years now. And I've never seen Coleman Coliseum like it was Saturday. I mean, it was packed to the very top of that facility, and it was a great environment. And I thought it was a game that befitted number one against number two in the country.
You know, Andy, earlier today, Barry and I were talking about it. I mean, my thoughts, impressions. I mean, Auburn came out hot, hit those threes, up 9-0, set the tone. But I think Alabama was frustrated the entire game, couldn't hit the three, getting balls swatted away underneath the bucket. And the more Alabama got frustrated, Andy, to me, Auburn got more confident. I mean, you could just see it as the game rolled on, and their confidence level just continued to rise.
I thought Auburn did a really nice job after the first 8 or 9 minutes against Mark Sears, and just being in the film study and listening to the coaches talk. I mean, the one thing they did not want, the thing they wanted to prevent from Mark Sears was letting him get to his left hand and driving to the basket. And he did that early. And although his three-point shooting, we really didn't see it until the second half, I thought the fact that Denver Jones and Auburn did a much better job in the last 10 minutes of the first half of keeping Mark Sears on his right hand. And then Sears, I thought, caught fire a little bit in the second half. And one of the things about Alabama's three-point shooting, John Barry, I mean, they not only shoot the three, but they shoot the three at range. So if you're trying to close out Alabama's three-point shooting, you're sometimes closing that out 8, 9, 10 feet beyond the three-point line. And I thought Auburn did a really good job of that on Saturday. And Mark Sears got his mostly at the free throw line on Saturday. I thought Amori had a really good game on the inside for Alabama. He was really good on the boards, and became a scorer in the second half. I really thought this, from an Auburn perspective, the difference in the game for Auburn was Denver Jones. Because Denver Jones, a week ago Saturday, against Florida, did not have a field goal. Now, that's your starting point guard and a guy that came to Auburn as a shooting guard and really didn't look to shoot against Florida. And Auburn lost that game by 9. And he was really challenged by Stephen Pearl and by Bruce Pearl going into the Vanderbilt ball game. Listen, you're a scorer. Keep that mentality. And he had 21 against Vanderbilt, and he got off to a terrific start in the second half on Saturday. And he's a really good defender as well. I thought Denver Jones was kind of the X factor for Auburn on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that about his defense, because I don't think enough people give him credit for that, you know. When Alabama tied that in the second half, I thought, well, here we go. This is a gut check time. Underline it twice, exclamation point, exclamation point. I thought Auburn handled that magnificently mentally, Andy. You agree?
Yeah, I do. And it's the second time that it had happened this week, because Auburn jumped out to a 15-point lead at Vanderbilt Tuesday. Vanderbilt cut the lead to 2 at halftime and actually took a 3-point lead with just under 17 minutes to go in the second half at Nashville. And then Chaney Johnson took the game over and went on a 9-0 run by himself for Auburn. And Auburn never trailed after that. And listen, when you're in an environment like Coleman Coliseum was Saturday, and it was 14,500 plus on Saturday. I mean, it was packed on Saturday, and all of a sudden, well, not all of a sudden, but it becomes a tie game, and the crowd is big time into it. But Auburn did what it did earlier in the week. It just responded. It's the first time, as I understand it, that in a Nate Oates coached game in Tuscaloosa, they've never led in the game. Because although they tied the game, they never had the lead in the game on Saturday. And as old as this Alabama team is, and you look at that starting lineup, and there's grad student next to just about every one of their starters, this is an Auburn team that also has 10 seniors on it as well. And I think that is one of Auburn's benefits in the schedule that it has played. And I think it's one of the reasons that Auburn decided to play a schedule that included Duke and Iowa State and Purdue and North Carolina and Houston, and the SEC is as good as it's ever been, period, in basketball right now. So while Alabama is an experienced team, this Auburn ball club is as well. And I think it benefits Auburn in games like we saw Tuesday at Vanderbilt and then this past Saturday in Tuscaloosa.
And you know, Andy, one thing that I've thought about this Auburn team since November when we first started talking about them, they don't seem to miss a beat. Whoever comes off the bench, I mean, there's no drop-off in play. I mean, they are so deep on this team that Coach Pearl can really put anybody in and feel really confident about who's on the floor.
Well, a really good example of that, John, is on the inside game. Because remember, Auburn didn't have Janai Broome for 2 games with an injured ankle. And in both of those games, we saw Chaney Johnson step into the starting lineup for Auburn and excel. And he was really good at Vanderbilt coming off the bench. And then you bring a kid like Tahad Pettiford. I say he's a kid because he's a freshman. But you bring him off the bench, and he hit an enormous 3 in that second half when Alabama was making its run. And I think he may have given Auburn the lead for good from the right wing, right in front of the Auburn bench. And he had an answer for Auburn. But whether it's Tahad Pettiford or whether it's Chaney Johnson coming off the bench or Jaheim Hudson coming off the bench. Guy Howard, I think, will get more playing time as this season goes along. And it's not just guys coming off the bench. It's different guys stepping up and scoring for Auburn. In years past, as good as these teams have been for Auburn, and that includes an SEC tournament championship last year and teams that have made the NCAA tournament, Auburn, if you were able to stop a Janai Broome, you're in pretty good shape. You do that this year, you still have to contend with Miles Kelly. You still have to contend with Chad Baker-Mazara. You still have to contend at times with Dylan Cardwell on the inside, and certainly Denver Jones. It is not just one guy that is Auburn's scorer right now. And I think that helps Auburn as you go down the last 6 games of this regular season and into the postseason as well.
Andy, you mentioned this. You've got access to the film study on the road. When they're doing that, I think that's incredibly valuable. I couldn't imagine me not being able to do what I do without it. So you get great access. Is there any insight? If not, that's fine. But is there any insight that people may not realize about how Bruce Pearl is doing all of this, how he is elevating the program that way? Is there anything behind the scenes that you can say, hey, look at this, or not? Because, I mean, he's doing something a lot of people thought was impossible at the level people thought was impossible.
I'm not sure Auburn could have envisioned, could have dreamt what this program has become when he was hired 11 years ago. Certainly we hope for that. But could Auburn have hoped to have 4 SEC championships and a trip to the Final Four and 2 number 1 teams when Bruce Pearl? Because there had been no history of that in the past consistently for Auburn. Here's the one thing, the insight I'll give you, and I'm not giving away any trade secrets here. In this team, and folks ask me about Bruce Pearl. Is that really Bruce? And that's Bruce Pearl. I mean, he is like this as a coach. He's like this away from the floor, the energy, the passion that he has. That's Bruce all the time. But he lets his coaches work as well. It's not just the Bruce Pearl show. And if you listen to him in post-game radio with us and in his press conferences, he's always talking about the scout that his assistant coaches have, and they, as everyone does, they split up the different scouts they have. He's talking about what Stephen Pearl is doing as his defensive coordinator. He's talking about the calls that Mike Burgamaster is making as the offensive coordinator. He lets those coaches coach. Ira Bowman is his rotation coach. Ira's the one that's getting guys in and out of the game. So it's not just Bruce. It really is his coaching staff. And that works well for Auburn. Listen, there are other places where it's that head coach and he runs the show and everything runs through him. And I'm not saying that Bruce isn't that guy, but he lets these coaches coach. And I think it's helped. I certainly think it's helped this season.
Well, it certainly has. It's been a very impressive run. The remainder of the regular SEC schedule in front of them. Then they make a trip to Nashville. And then from that point on, certainly looks like a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. And based on the way I've seen them playing since November, Andy, they're going to be an extremely tough team to beat. This Auburn team, to me, is the best team in the country. And I've been saying it for months now.
Well, it's a team that has a lot of depth. And it isn't always just depth in a game. I mean, look at the depth that Auburn had when they didn't have Janai Broome for 2 ball games. How many teams would have been able to do that when you lose the best player in this league, perhaps the National Player of the Year, and you still win both of those games? And one of those games is on the road in a place where that team, Georgia, hadn't lost yet at home. So that depth isn't just the depth that you see in the game. It's the depth that you have in case of injury or foul trouble or something of that nature.
Final question, Andy. Is Janai close to 100%?
I don't know what the percentage is. I think he's getting better. I don't know if he'll be 100% the rest of this year. I know they work on him all the time, working on that ankle. And I don't know if there's any lingering effect from the shoulder injury that he had back in December. I really haven't seen that. The ankle, I think, is still an issue for Janai. And when you're playing twice a game or twice a week, and Auburn's already had its bye week. I mean, you're playing twice a week now. Yeah. And, hopefully you're playing 3 times in 3 days in Nashville. And then you're getting ready for the NCAA tournament. So I don't know what the percentage is on Janai. I know he has worked, and Auburn's medical staff, athletic trainer Clark Pearson and Dr. Mike Goodlett and all those folks. I mean, that's a constant. And listen, you guys know this. I mean, this is the time of the year. It's February in everywhere you're playing. So there's always bumps and bruises and injured ankles and whatever. And they continue to work on it, and he continues to be just an absolute force on the inside for this Auburn ball club.
It's been amazing. No question about it. Andy Burcham with us here. Always great insight. Great to have you join us. We hope to have you
My
again
pleasure.
soon. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
I'll see you tomorrow. It's going to be chilly, Barry. We got a brand new booth for you. You are right next to us.
Oh,
How about that?
Well, I'm glad you
are
prepared
right.
me for that.
You are right next to us, and we'll be able to see each other and
Make faces.
good or bad. Yeah, exactly. So I look forward to having you at Plainsman Park here tomorrow, bud.
I appreciate your time today. Thanks, Andy.
Thank you, Andy.
Take care, guys. Have a great day. Warriors.
You too, buddy. Thank you so much. So, yeah, Barry, let's say if the Trojans hit like a 4-run bomb tomorrow, you're not going to be pounding the glass over there.
You. Yeah, that kind of a deal. Yeah, Troy plays Auburn tomorrow at 6 at Plainsman Park. Both clubs will come in 3-0. Our appreciation to Andy Burcham, the voice of the Auburn Tigers on the Auburn Sports Network, for joining us when we come back after this timeout.
Wait a minute. Is this who I think it is? Yep. Robbie is awake.
Yes.
Robbie has joined us. Also, two-time caller of the year, JD, with a kind of a smart, alecky comment about something I mentioned last week. And it's very you're paying attention, JD. I appreciate you bringing that up here today.
Yep.
So, we got a lot going on today here on the Monday edition of Longshore Amming Night. We are going to spin the wheel later on. We got the Phantoms dog pick of the week as well. We got a lot going on today. Yeah.
When we come back, Josh Harris from Yellowhammer News, a part of the show. We're busy on a Monday. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Book tee time sooner. Save on every round. That's what you get with the 2025 RTJ Trail Card. Destination golf is closer than you might think. Buy a 2025 Trail Card and save every time you play. Plus, you will be automatically entered into the Trails Loyalty Program. Enjoy 10-day advance reservation privileges at each location. 11-day advanced internet tee times on rtjgolf.com and the RTJ app. Enjoy the benefits of a 2025 Trail Card. It makes for a great stocking stuffer, and you save on every round you play in 2025 on the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail. Dixie Electric Plumbing and Air rallies for you. No matter the problem, Dixie will tackle it. They're licensed and trusted electricians, plumbers, air and garage door technicians are ready to win for you. From toilets to garbage disposals, circuit breakers to HVAC systems, Dixie never fumbles. Don't throw away your hard-earned money on second-string contracting companies. Score big with Dixie. After all, they are your biggest fan. Visit calldixie.com or dial them up locally at 262-2946.
Don't miss your chance to win big at Victoryland Casino. Play the latest, hottest, most exciting games around with fun bonuses and big jackpots. Don't miss out on your free play. Stop by Player Rewards today and check out this month's exciting free play promotions. Come see why our players keep coming back. You'll have more fun at Victoryland Casino, where you can be a winner too. Victoryland Casino, located off I-85 exit 22, Shorter, Alabama. Must be 21 or older.
All right, welcome back in, everybody. About 27 minutes to the top of the hour on this Monday. So, Barry, just hearing the first 30 minutes of the program today, I assume it's still cold back at home.
It is cold, yes. It is that. I'm wearing the quarter zip right now. It was really windy yesterday. Storms moving through on Saturday night. I heard. I was in Arkansas over the weekend. Big win for the Troy Trojans, by the way.
As a matter of fact, Barry, I watched
Arkansas
that game.
State. Yeah.
I was watching that game at an establishment here up in D.C., and the crowd really enjoyed it. It was an exciting game. They were, looking into it. I had to tell them, I said, that school's 40 minutes from where I live and this, that, and the other. But I just was wondering, because it's really cold still here in D.C., trying to get out of town before a big snowstorm hits tomorrow. We had a weather issue yesterday. It was scheduled to come home yesterday, but weather conditions would not allow us to travel, so we're having to go today.
So he's in Washington, D.C. I'm in Troy. John texted me yesterday and said, hey, I'm still going to be in D.C. when I do the show. And me, like any other American who knows you, was thinking, oh, see, I thought Donald was at the NASCAR race. He must have had somebody lob a call and say, hey, John, I can't meet you. I'm down here at Daytona. Can I circle back and meet with you on President's Day? And John says, sure, DJ, I'll stick around a little bit. I thought that was it, not travel.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be able to sneak in, not able to do so at Daytona yesterday. But here and it is cold, and I know it's cold back home as well. I know we had some weather issues. Hope all is good with that as well. Really enjoyed getting to Andy's perspective of the game. Obviously, he was right there on the floor, as close as you could get to the action on Saturday. And I thought his breakdown was really good. I mean, the big crowd, I get it, but Auburn's played in front of a lot of other big crowds as well. I just thought they were the better team. To me, Barry, it was obvious. I don't know if it was obvious to anybody else, but it was obvious to me early who the better team was, and it was obvious to me early it was going to be extremely, even though they tied it up, it was going to be extremely difficult for Alabama to win that game.
Robbie tells us, though, John, that he reports that Bryant Passink from the Crimson Tide Sports Network said, regardless of what happened versus Auburn, that it's important for the Tide to overcome the outcome and move ahead to Missouri Wednesday. Easier said than done. There are stages of Robbie. There really are. Pre-game, the week of, I think Alabama's going to win because it's always that, and then backtracking. I think Alabama's going to win because Auburn does not do this. Then during the game, he's pins and needles. I get that. Post-game, Alabama loses. It's like, all right, got to move forward. Fans don't need to keep lingering on that Auburn game. Y'all don't need to keep talking about Alabama's loss. Y'all need to move ahead towards the big challenge at Missouri. So he's always preaching to move ahead. Anytime you see a chat from him and you didn't know, you were under a rock or something over the weekend, and Robbie says it's important to move ahead to Missouri on Wednesday, that's Robbie E's for Alabama lost that game. Well,
that's a good point, Bear. That's a good way to put it, because there again, if the outcome would have been different, we would have been having a different response from Robbie today. How Bama won, how great they look, how good they're going to look from this point on. But I got to give Robbie credit. He's a guy, when things don't go his way, he can turn the page better than anybody I know. That's yesterday. Let's move on.
Bob Seeger got nothing on him. He can turn the page, no doubt about it. Hey, we got Josh Harris from.
He's at top of the hour. Josh is going to join us at the top of the hour today. Sorry about that.
So he's just listening. Yeah.
He's going to join us top of the hour at the program today.
I got you.
So elsewhere in the, I know we're going to talk a lot about what happened Auburn, Alabama wise. But I got to tell you, Bear, I kind of got lost with what happened elsewhere in the SEC over the weekend. Everybody played on Saturday, I did kind of get lost in what happened with everybody else, just so involved with the Auburn-Alabama game.
Yeah, I was trying to catch up on a little bit. We had a long bus ride back from Jonesboro, Arkansas. Any bus ride from Jonesboro, Arkansas is a long bus ride, no matter where you're going. Kentucky lost again.
Oh, so what do you think?
Yeah, our buddy Patrick Daly, he's already looking forward to next year. Kentucky lost at Texas by 4. Number 15, Kentucky has now lost 8 games. When we talked to Bart Heisch on Thursday, John, be a happy man. Bart's Mississippi State Bulldogs beat Ole Miss in Oxford by 10. And boy, you should have seen all of those Ole Miss tweets and stuff. Why are we only dominating them in football? We can't beat them in baseball. We can't beat them in women's basketball. We can't, what's going on here? I mean, that is I think Bart could absolutely subsist on Ole Miss tears. I don't
Oh yeah.
think he'd have to
I-
eat. He could.
I totally agree with that. That was a good game. Did watch a little of that one. That was a night game after Bama
Right.
and Auburn wrapped up. So did see a little bit of that. Had both of them going on. Had a little Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Troy, Arkansas State. It was kind of a nice double dip there. Checking that out. So we
We're
look
thinking,
ahead.
what in God's name is the holdup here? Because, that game was on ESPN2 and it ran into the Troy, Arkansas State game. And for a long time, I was the only source for live play-by-play of that game, which is fine. Everybody, they can listen to me. But I had so many people going, can somebody just wrap up? I mean, Mississippi State's got it by double digits. Let's get out of there and go to Jonesboro.
Sure.
I heard a lot of that on my cell phone.
Yeah, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Barry, the Auburn-Alabama game was a late tip because of the game prior to that one. It was, I want to say I saw on the screen tipping at 4:15. Of course, I'm still in the Eastern time. It was 3:15 back home, but yeah, it was a late tip. Speaking of late tips, Barry, what about Wednesday night? Both Auburn and Alabama, 8 o'clock tips. Of course, Auburn hosting Arkansas on Wednesday, Alabama traveling to number 21, Missouri. After the letdown, kind of falling a little flat. There again, Alabama's remaining schedule, you touched on it earlier today, no cakewalk. I mean, after the loss to Auburn on Saturday, number 21, Missouri, number 15, Kentucky, number 22, Mississippi State, number 5, Tennessee, number 3, Florida, number 1, Auburn. I mean, gee whiz, every team that they're playing from here on out is in the top 25.
They're not going to win out. They're not going to do that. And that Tennessee game would scare me. But, as of right now in the SEC, Auburn, of course, all alone in first place, a game ahead of Alabama. Alabama's a game ahead of Florida and Texas A&M. And if you look at the Crimson Tide schedule, those top 3 teams, they play Texas A&M. I'm sorry, they play Florida and they play Tennessee. So, and of course Auburn. So Alabama down the stretch plays 3 of the top 4 teams left in the SEC.
Yeah,
it's rough, literally, for them down the stretch.
If they win, well, let me reverse that. If they only lose maybe 2 of those, do they remain a number 1 seed? I don't know. I think the road ahead is really difficult for Alabama to maintain that number 1 position that they seem to currently have. Auburn, on the other hand, though, Barry, I mean, I love what they've got left. Arkansas on Wednesday night at home, Georgia at home, number 19, Ole Miss at home. Their next 3 are at home at Neville. They travel to Kentucky, who's leaking oil. They go to Texas A&M, which could be an interesting battle.
That'll be tough.
Then they got Alabama to wrap them up.
At home.
I think Auburn's remaining games much more favorable. I like Auburn's chances of winning out. Maybe they won't, but I think they've got a much better chance to win out certainly than Alabama does.
Yeah. Robbie says Alabama could earn a number 1 overall seed for the NCAA tournament with a strong finish. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I have the doubt that they can do that. But I saw this on Thursday in Jonesboro. The head coach at Arkansas State, which is a good team, they got 3 SEC transfers on that team. I think maybe 4 on that team. He's Brian Hodgson, and he was a coach with Nate Oates at Alabama. He was with him at Buffalo, and he believes in the same thing: shoot the 3 and drive and dish. And if and all of that. But they weren't shooting the 3 either. I think Arkansas State was something like 3 for 15 or something like that. And I get it. I get the analytics of it, that, the most efficient, the least efficient shot there that analytics tell you is just a lob into the post to the big man and have him shoot a hook or a fall away jumper or the sky hook or something like that. Now, who was it? JD said, Tobias said, somebody tell Nate Oates those Janai Broom post-ups looked efficient to me. But that's the thing. If the 3-pointers aren't falling, John, and they weren't for Arkansas State, and they scored, I think, almost 14 points less in that game against Troy than they average. Alabama, they ended up scoring. They are a good offensive team, but man, they have got to come up with something else when the three-pointers don't go.
Well, there's no doubt. And they were, ice cold, weren't falling. Not a lot was. I got to tell you, I was really surprised, Barry. Alabama went on a pretty good run to tie it at 68.
Right.
That surprised me. I really was not expecting to see that based on what I'd seen prior to that point. I don't know if Auburn just went through a little cold streak there. I think the difference was like a 20-7 run or something like that, if I recall.
Baker Mazzara had fouls. Cardwell had fouls. Maybe they played it a little bit defensively. But, John, you're not wrong. But bear in mind, Alabama, and I know you know this, but fans out there, Alabama's really good. I mean, don't lose sight of the fact that they're really talented. Sometimes they don't play as well as they need to in this league, but that happens few and far between. I just think the bottom line was Auburn was a better team.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm with you there. I think Auburn definitely was the better team. And I hear what you're saying. I hear other people saying the same thing. Alabama's a good team. And yeah, they are. They are. But to me, Barry, and I've said this before, Duke and Auburn are at a different level. When you watch these other teams play, there are a lot of good teams in college basketball. But to me, there's only two that have separated themselves that are in a different league right now, and that's Duke and Auburn. I don't see Alabama at that league. And if they continue to have these lapses, if they continue to have these turnover issues, if the three's cold, if people have figured out Mark Sears likes to go to his left, which Auburn did,
yes,
they're not going to win. And it's going to, not to say it's not going to be a great year, it is. But to me, Barry, this is not a national championship team.
That sounds like you were talking about Jalen Milroe for a moment there.
Some people don't hear me say things like this, like UA Carpe Diem. Got some emails from him over the weekend.
Oh boy.
Yeah, he doesn't like to hear me talk this way. Look, I'm just calling it like I see it. Always have. There again, if I'm wrong, chat line's open. River Region Straw chat line. Love to hear it. As we go to break, Barry, can we chew on this when we get back a little bit? I noticed this from two-time caller of the year, JD.
Right.
He says Oates looked checked out during the game. Like maybe he was thinking about Bloomington. Wow. Ouch. JD.
JD.
Hit him across the face, will you?
Yeah.
Where'd you get that idea, JD? Where'd you hear that first?
Come on, Chris the Bammer. Really? A chat that says Mark Sears Milroe? Mark Sears, he can't hyphenate his name. Come on. Sears is a really good player. Maybe more so than Milroe in the sense that I know there's 300 teams that would love to have Mark Sears in their starting lineup. Love 300 to have him. So let's take a break. Coming up in just a little bit, Josh Harris, Yellowhammer News. He's standing by, just listening, just soaking it all in, as are you. John, we got so many platforms that people can check us out on. So many.
Yellowhammer News. You can check that out at any time. We're on Yellowhammer News right now. Of course, a recap of the show each and every afternoon with some video content. And I'm going to forget one, Barry, so check me here. YouTube, Spotify, X, Instagram.
We're on Facebook Live, too. You can watch us on Facebook. Yeah, we have. As a matter of fact, we always get a good bit of commentary from you, our Facebook viewers, as well.
And you can also pull us through your Bluetooth in your car. You can listen on your smart speaker.
Yep.
A lot of people listen in their automobiles. So and the great thing about it, Barry, we're on live 7 to 9 each and every weekday, but you can watch and listen anytime you want. That's the beauty of this platform. We are presenting it for you to consume at your convenience on your time schedule.
If you're on the internet and you're trying to get all your buddies into your subscription, like for the NFL Network or something like that, you got cousins and brothers who say, hey, can you hook a brother up with NFL Network? At some point, you're going to get this thing that says, you have reached your subscription limit. You can no longer share this on another device. With us, you can watch us as many times as you want. Nobody's keeping track.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hi, Barry. When we come back, was it fake news? Got some questions about some alleged tents that popped up in Tuscaloosa before the game this week.
Yeah. John says Photoshop. Well,
Uh-huh.
it's in association with Yellowhammer News. It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Okay, joining us now, Brian Reynolds. He is the director of golf at Cambrian Ridge in Greenville on the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail. And hey, Brian, I know we've had a lot of rain. Weather hadn't been very cooperative, but that still doesn't mean that our listeners and our viewers can come see you to pick up those trail cards and also all of the new merchandise and equipment that's arriving in your pro shop.
That's right, guys. We've got the new TaylorMade Q35. We've got the new TaylorMade Elite, named after the old founder of Callaway, Ely Callaway. We got the TaylorMade. We got the Ping. The Perils rolling in left and right, whether it's Peter Millar, Vineyard Vines, Straight Down, Southern Tide. We've got it all coming in right now. Puma. Shop's getting full, running out of room, so we need folks to come buy some stuff. It's getting thick in there.
I love it, Brian. Man, you are just packed in with new merchandise and apparel for the upcoming golf season. And speaking of that upcoming golf season, that trail card will pay for itself in no time. Folks need to go ahead and get that 2025 trail card.
That's right. It pays for itself the first time you use it. It takes your golf, whether you're playing, in Greenville or at Prattville, somewhere around the $46 to $56 price range. If you walk in here without one in our prime season in the spring, we're going to hit you for $125. So, you buy the $50 trail card, pay your $56 for golf. It's still cheaper than walking the door and not having one. So if you're an Alabama resident or live within 2 hours of any trail facility, make sure you get that card, stash it away in your wallet, take a picture of it on your phone so we can give you that discount. And hey, the caveat on top of it is you gain points every time you spend $1 with that trail card, whether it's food and beverage, golf, merchandise. You gain points, and for every 500 points you get a free round of golf. So if you're looking to buy a driver, irons, rangefinder, shoes, buy it with us. You get points and you're going to get a free round of golf. If you buy a driver, you get a free round of golf right then, $500.
Yeah, that is awesome, man. That is fantastic. So for more information, go to rtjgolf.com/Cambrian Ridge. Or better yet, just go by and see them there in Greenville. What's your phone number for more information and to book that tee time when this weather gets a little better?
Just give us a call at 382-9787. I'm sorry, 382-9787, and we'll get you taken care of.
Awesome. Brian, thank you so much, my friend. A lot of exciting things going on down there at Cambrian Ridge. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, here we are back at it. We must have had a screen lock here or something. Not sure what went on right there, but we're back at it.
Oh, we're good. Everything. I love the houndstooth chair you're sitting in. Very nice.
Well, I will tell you there again, and I'm going to tell you, I've never seen as many nerds coming past me. I don't know what's going on.
Wait a minute. What about that fabled fall rush of 1983? You forgot about that one.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Yes.
But, and of course, when they come in, the door opens and it is so dadgum cold. I can feel the breeze. But hey, I'm not complaining. It's all good.
No.
I didn't notice it is kind of a houndstooth here in my broadcast location here in the nation's capital. But it's all good. And I didn't. Now that you bring it up, I just never noticed it. It's very comfortable. I will say that.
I don't want to hear you complain, and not that you were, but I don't want you to hear complain about, man, it's drafty when they open that door. When you had dozens upon dozens upon dozens of Alabama students braving cold, wet, clammy conditions right outside Coleman Coliseum with no shelter other than a cheap big box store pop-up tent to keep them warm.
Now, did I hear you say dozens and dozens?
Dozens and dozens. Like a full line of them all the way down the side of Coleman Coliseum.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there again. And I've been kind of.
Somebody told you that they'd be doing that.
I've been kind of out of pocket traveling a little bit. So somebody brought this to my attention, amongst other things. But, I didn't see this on any news outlet. I didn't see, Cub reporter going up and doing a interview with these people from some Birmingham station.
I saw it on Instagram. I saw, that was
I
about
didn't
it.
see anything at AL.com or Yellowhammer News or anything like that. I'm thinking, is this real? I mean, because I'm thinking you would have thought somebody would have gone and interviewed these people, talked to them. Maybe there weren't enough people to really talk to. Dozens might be accurate, dozens and dozens. I'm not so sure were the case. But there again, I'm trying to get to the bottom of it. One of the things I did hear, Barry, that they were camping out for game day, not the game. They had their tickets, but they wanted to make sure they got into game day early on Saturday because I think students were able to get in at like 7:30 in the morning.
One of the things that I love that Gurn Jr. does with the program is that he gives us titles of the program from popular song titles. Tomorrow, it needs to be the John Lennon Immortal, Whatever Gets You Through the Night. Well, okay. They were camping out, but there weren't as many of them as there were of the Aubs.
See?
And see, they weren't really camping out for the game. I mean, for the Auburn game? No, they were camping out for college game day. See, that's a big difference. That's huge out there. Now, at some statewide websites, they doggone sure covered Auburn fans roll Toomer's corner after win over Alabama. They covered the heck out of that, but Alabama fans caring enough about Auburn.
Well, and I'm not even sure, were they actually students or some high school kids? I mean, there again.
Oh, see, there you go. That's another one. Yeah. A, they couldn't be students. B, there couldn't be nearly as many as there were of the Aubs. And C, they weren't there for the game. They were there for college game day. Very nicely done.
And to think Bear had all weekend to think about this. To come up with reasons why they, there again, I'm not sure how big of a deal it was. Who knows? But I think the college game day angle might have been a good one, possibly. But I'm still trying to get to the bottom of it. Did it really actually happen, or was this just something that I don't know?
Well,
but you mentioned news outlets covering the rolling of Toomer's corner. Is that even news anymore?
Exactly. I mean, this is a win on the road at the number 2 team in the country. Obviously, you not only are they rolling Toomer's corner, but they should roll Toomer's corner. That's a huge win. Now, news outlets also covered this. And I'm quoting, this is from AL.com. Headline, Nate Oates begs crowd to stop throwing debris during Alabama versus Auburn basketball. Say that ain't so. I didn't see that, but I heard about it. Alabama basketball had just cut Auburn's lead to 3 points at Coleman Coliseum, promoting the Tigers to take a timeout. It meant prompting the Tigers to take a timeout.
Yeah.
Early on during the break, the PA announcer, is it still Tony Giles?
I think it is.
The PA announcer asked the Alabama faithful to refrain from throwing any objects onto the court after Tide fans in or near the student section evidently threw debris. After UAT athletics director Greg Byrne paid a visit to the sideline, Crimson Tide head coach Nate Oates added his voice. Oates donned a microphone headset and pled with the crowd to stop. Oates says, quote, "Whoever is throwing stuff, knock it off."
Yeah.
No, seriously. We're trying to win the basketball game. We don't need you guys costing us points out here, end quote. I don't think in our society today, people say knock it off enough.
That's a northern term.
That
Barry.
is a good knock it off.
Barry, I think that plays really well in Bloomington. Robbie? JD, did you pick that up? Here's the deal. I don't like that. There's no place for it. I know the students at football games at times when things don't go their way, they'll throw stuff onto the field in that end zone, which I don't think is a good thing to do.
I mean, if the game's over and you win on a last-second field goal and the clock runs out, and then you want to throw stuff on the field, that's one thing.
Or
But during,
when that happens and you're yelling, "We just beat the out of you." Did you really?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's just a whole nother
Okay,
thing.
yeah,
We can get
okay,
off on
yeah,
that
all
all
right.
day. But there's no place for it. And it's interesting, Barry, 40 plus years ago, something similar to that happened. I don't know if it was to the extent that it was Saturday
Right.
up in Tuscaloosa. But when I was a student, and I'll first admit it was not me, I did not do it.
If it was
But
him, he would own up to it.
I'd admit it. I would admit it. You're right. Alabama's playing Auburn. Barkley's playing for the Tigers. Charles Barkley's on the team. Obviously, things are kind of tense and people are kind of going at each other because Barkley was, charismatic and opinionated. And something happened and something was thrown onto the floor. And Barkley stopped during the flow of play and picked it up and threw it back into the crowd.
Nice.
And that the place went crazy. I'll never forget everybody's chanting, Barkley sucks, Barkley sucks.
Well,
After that, but I've never seen a player stop and throw it back. I saw Charles Barkley do that about 40 years ago.
Well, they were chanting on Saturday as well. I had somebody, text me and was talking about after the game, Janai Broome was waving bye to everybody and Baker Mazzara was blowing kisses and saying bye-bye and everything. And they didn't like that very much. And I said, well, they probably were reacting to having stuff thrown at them from the stands and from the crowd. And I mean, there's little kids at the game, people, little kids. And you got the students chanting bleep Auburn, bleep Auburn, bleep Auburn. I don't know that that's a thing to do. And I don't think you ought to, if you're going to dish it out, you got to be able to take it when Broome and some of those guys are waving goodbye to fans like
and Broome had a big bucket or something, and he kind of gave the dial me up.
Yeah,
that's all part of the game. I mean, it is. I mean, fans, you got to get used to it. Now, I agree. I mean, some of the salty language I'd rather do without, but I got to admit, as a kid, I mean, I heard it. I mean, heck, I saw people fighting when I was a kid. I hadn't seen a fight in a long time in a game, but man, when I was a kid, I seemed to see a lot of fights. But I'm with you. I don't like the language, but I think that's another element of the game, Barry, that we talk about that maybe people don't like it or are tired of it. I don't have to put up with unruly fans, whether they're cussing or whether they're throwing stuff on the floor or won't sit down, whatever it may be. I think there's an element that just is tired of it. It doesn't want to experience it. And Greg Byrne gets it. I mean, Greg Byrne sees it. The first thing he's thinking, whoa, this is what, my big donors like to see and the families that come up here.
And I got to have my coach get on the microphone and tell the fans to knock it off.
Now, who was that coach in Oklahoma years ago that did that? But he
Billy
said something about the officials.
Billy Tubbs. He says, no matter how bad the officials suck, you don't be yelling at them or whatever like that. So with that in mind, one thing there, I know the next home game for Alabama is Kentucky, Saturday. I know they'll be there for that one, and they'll win that one. But the next thermometer game for Alabama fans is going to be Mississippi State at home on the 25th, which I think is a week from tomorrow. I think it's a Tuesday night game. It's Mississippi State. All of those fans who went to that game because, of course, Alabama's number 2, but it was against the number 1 team, and it was Auburn. Don't give up on that team, okay? I want the same crowd. I want the same energy. If you're not, if it's not all about just Auburn, Auburn, they're our little brother and all. If it's not just about Auburn, y'all guys need to be showing up for Mississippi State in a week and a half. You need to be doing that.
Is that a weekday or a weekend game?
I want to say it's a Tuesday.
Then there won't be 15,000 people there. And Barry,
that's a shame.
I'm not sure it's going to be a hard. Well, I wouldn't say hard, but I don't think it's going to be standing room only for Kentucky on Saturday.
Well, Mississippi State a week from tomorrow. It's the only game in the SEC that night, John.
Okay.
Tuesday night, a week from tomorrow, 8:00 at night.
No way.
I want 15,000 fans
Not
there.
gonna happen.
I want them chanting bleep Mississippi State, although it's a little bit harder to say. I want Nate Oates to have to get on the microphone again and tell everybody to knock it off. I want that same energy. And Robbie agrees.
No way. Not gonna happen. There'll be an energy, won't be as packed as it was last Saturday for this game against Kentucky. The game against Mississippi State. No way. Not 8:00 at Tuesday night. But Barry, I want to get in this a little deeper about conduct at sporting events. I did not hear. I read it later on about the language from the students, and then throwing stuff on the floor and chanting whatever. I think that's getting a little out of hand too. I hate to sound like the old man, get off my lawn, but I think that turns a large part of the fan base off. They don't want to experience that when they go to games.
Kerry Good had a social media post about it where he was chewing out the Alabama fans, talking about class.
Was it Baker Mazzara that goes into the crowd and then some lady starts getting in
What
his
was
face?
the deal with that? It was definitely Baker Mazzara, but I don't know anything else about it. Was that lady bowing up to him? And what was he doing? What was the dude didn't seem to be too worried about it, but that woman, she was about to throw hands.
Here's the way I saw it.
Yeah.
The guys, Baker Mazzara, it's a basketball play. He's just fell into the crowd. But Bama's down. She ain't happy.
Yeah.
She probably mixed in a few cocktails before the game. Maybe
She had the Tide minus 5.5, minus 1.5.
She was not happy how the flow of how that game was going, and she let him have it.
Whew. Well,
that's the way I saw it.
Let's go to that bastion of reservedness and decorum at all sporting events. Josh Harris from Yellowhammer News. He joins us here. Who has never said an ill word in frustration or excitement at a sporting event in his life. Josh, welcome in. How you doing?
How you doing, man?
I'm hanging in there. It was a rough weekend, but we're back. I went to go see a comedian right after the game, so it was like I was not laughing for a little while, but it was my Valentine's gift to the wife. So I was like,
nicely done.
That's a good way to kind of ease the pain of a tough loss in basketball is go to a comedy club and try to laugh it off. But in all seriousness, Josh, your take, your thoughts. I mean, there again, I just think Alabama got a little frustrated in the game, well, a little, and as they got frustrated, Auburn got more confident.
I'm sitting there thinking during the game, Mark, I just had your back, man. I just said
you stood up for him, Josh.
I stood up for you, dude. So he just got to realize he's not the guy. I mean, he's very good, but he needs to distribute the basketball, right? He doesn't have to do everything anymore. He's got plenty of guys to distribute it to. And like you're saying, he can't go left. So if he goes left, he needs to dish it. We've got plenty of other guys there. One thing I did want to talk about, though, was can you stand up if you're on the court? That's what I want to like. The front row people that are on the court, you can't stand up, I would imagine, right?
Well,
I think it's a non-issue. I think even if they could, they probably wouldn't.
But Barry,
I don't know if it's a rule.
There I was looking at the game. There's a lot of young folks on the front row too. It's not just blue blood old heads. It's young folks too.
Okay.
So it's not students, so they should have some energy. Like there's no,
Josh, and I've seen this in a lot of games on the front row. I mean, I've seen it at Auburn. I know some people that sit on the front rows at Auburn. I think there are times in the game that either you just do, whether it's after a big bucket, a timeout's called, or there's a TV timeout, things of that nature. I mean, I have seen guys stand up and then sit down after a big dunk or a big three, but they don't continue to stand up. I've actually, a friend of mine's got some seats in Tuscaloosa on the second row behind the first row. I've sat there many a times. You just don't stand up very often. Whereas if you're sitting further back, I guess there's more of a need or more of a feel to stand up. I don't think it looks good either with guys sitting down the majority of the time, but I just think it's where you are. You just do.
And then you did have, hey, let's give it up for that lady. She got
She
into
was-
it, baby.
You know,
I went. She's my age. I went to college with her. I'm not going to say.
oh,
her
you
name.
know her.
No,
Okay.
you know her.
I do.
Yeah.
I saw it happen. I'm like, let's go.
So this was out of character. Normally, you know, she's a Girl Scout or a Scouting America den mother, you know, sweet
In the
maybe
junior
a
league.
kindergarten teacher.
I don't know her well. I probably hadn't seen her since college, but I know who she is. I know a lot of people that do know her, and I would assume that would be she got caught up in the game. You know, which
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
let's go. More respect to you. Don't push the player, but you know, I love.
She was outraged at the
Oh,
audacity.
boy. You ain't kidding. She was not happy. Barry reminded me of that guy at Auburn when that kid from Ole Miss got in his face.
Yeah, Marshall Henderson told him yeah.
Marshall Henderson was just a demon. He was
Yes.
just always up to no good.
Oh.
I
Oh.
thought maybe she was overserved or something like that.
Well, it's like I said, I think she'd gotten into white wine a little early before the game.
Not a great look, Josh. I don't think to have Nate Oates come onto the
No.
public address. Am I right? Did I read that right?
It's tough. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's not a good look. You can't who throws stuff on the court at a basketball game? That was we know what it was. Not that it really matters.
I'm thinking a cup because
Wasn't toilet paper.
Yeah,
No.
I mean, I don't know what it could have been, a cup or a plastic bottle or something like that.
Miniature.
But
do
also,
they find that-
Auburn is so
Yeah.
concerned about trees and all that
Yeah.
stuff,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and the well-being of the trees and the environment. If you like trees,
Yeah.
why are you throwing toilet paper all over? That's a waste. That's bad for
Josh,
the environment.
I've been
Uh-huh.
asking that question for 61 years. I mean, there are a lot of people in this world that probably would like to have some toilet paper that don't. And wasting it on trees. You got to get the city to come out there and shoot.
No,
water
it's the
cannons to get
university.
out.
It's the university
university
physical
does
plant. I used to run all the time on Sundays, on Sunday mornings before church over at Auburn, and I'd go by Toomer's Corner, and those guys have the water cannons out. And I mean, it ain't just the big trees in the middle. It's the little shrubs over there all the way down towards the library and stuff. And I'm thinking, because I mean, those things are water cannons. Those things are Kermit Perry, Georgia postgame, water cannons out there. I'm thinking, that can't be good for the trees.
No, that's what I'm thinking.
Blowing
Yeah,
those leaves off.
That's a very powerful, forceful water spray. And I think they need to limit it, Josh. You shouldn't roll Toomer's Corner like when the equestrian team wins the SEC
True.
or, the golf team beats somebody. But
Yeah, the high school team wins the golf championship. Yeah, I mean,
I don't get it. But
I've seen that. I mean, that was a thing that happened, Josh.
No.
Yeah.
yes.
Oh,
yes,
man.
yes.
The high school team wins it. We're going to roll it. Come on.
But
guys.
in a more serious tone, where does this basketball team go from here? Because we talked about it earlier, Josh. The remainder of the regular season is not a walk down, a primrose path.
No, it's not. We've got I think we win. If you win all but two, you're close to that one line. You really need to win all but one. We need to win this week against Missouri. That's a tough game on the road. And then Tennessee, if they get it, they've been so bad recently, which is even scarier. Because if they're any good, they're going to step up when we go play at Tennessee.
Yep.
Auburn is going to be just slam packed. I mean, they will be camping out for not just game day.
Right. For the game itself. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I still feel pretty good because I was talking about it the other day. We're at a time in Alabama basketball where, like I was saying last time, we used to complain. We're complaining about whether we're going to be a 2, a 3, a 4, or a 1 seed, right? Years ago, not too long ago, we're just wanting to get in.
Yeah.
See these teams like UNC, like Duke, like UConn, that get in year after year after year. Sometimes they might be a 6 seed, they might be a 4 seed, they might be an 8 seed, but they'll make a run, right? So if we just continue to get in year after year, we're going to make that run. Like last year, we made a run. We weren't supposed to be that good. So as long as we're getting in the tournament, then and with the top 4, top 5 seed, we've got a shot. That's the positive spin on it. The negative is we just got to get it together. We're all over the place.
Agree or disagree, Josh? This year's Alabama basketball team in total is more talented than last year's team.
In total, I agree. Yeah. I think we have 10 players that can play, which in the tournament is that's what you need. You need depth.
Such a grind.
It's a grind, right? Especially if you go deep in the SEC tournament, right? You got to grind right before it, and it's day after day after day. I think we're deeper, and we've got some big guys finally that can play consistently, and I think we've got a shot to make a run. I mean, we've just got so many players that we're going to be all right. But it all does come down to, I think a big part of it is, can Sears play a different role, right? He is clutch. I do think he's clutch. He can make some shots down the road, but can he play the role of distributor, right? Can he drive and dish instead of just taking it to the hole every time? Because he's still scoring, but was he like?
And and some of those shots that he attempts, and not taking anything away from him, but it's a shot that's high off the glass, or it's scooping around with his left hand. It's like he's trying to do anything to get away from the defender, which is what you're trying to do. It's just so different. It doesn't look fluid, I guess, as I'm trying to say. I mean, it's like almost a desperation shot that just happens to go in.
Right, because he's got 3 guys around him. If you got 3 guys around you, just simply put, I'm no expert, but it means you got somebody open, right? So, so dish it. And we got other guys that can play. We have said it a million times, 9 other guys that can play. So let them play. He's just got to realize he's not, and it's tough, right? Because he's trying to get drafted, right? He wants to. He's an older guy. He needs to. He had super high expectations to start the year. First team All-American type player.
Yeah.
And now he's just not that guy anymore. He's still good, very, very good. He's just got to play a different role. We don't need that role anymore. So he's got to be able to dish it around.
That's valid. That makes sense to me. It really does.
So I brought this up, just throwing it out there, but I'm just curious, Josh, if you've thought about it or you have any thoughts on it. Do you think Nate Oates will retire from basketball as the head coach at Alabama?
No. There's just, I would love for him to. I just think he's not an Alabama guy, right? He's not from here. He's gonna want at some point to coach in the NBA, I would imagine. I don't know why he would necessarily leave to go to another college. I know talking about Indiana and some other schools, but I don't think that would be a good move. And we're going to pay him just as much. He's going to have, especially now with NIL, he's going to have more resources here than he will in Indiana. Just from a dollar perspective, from a player perspective, from really everything. The only positive of Indiana is they probably will show up every single game. If they were number 2 or 3 in the nation, they will, they're going to be, it'll be impossible to get those tickets. I think he goes to the NBA before he goes anywhere else. And he's had success at Alabama, and we'll pay him. So as long as we stop making him mad with throwing stuff on the court.
Knock it off.
I do like knock it off hits hard.
We
Like,
need
knock
to.
it off. You're like, all right.
Yeah,
That's
all
one you don't
right.
hear. That's
Right.
that's old school. You don't hear that every day.
They need to call them knuckleheads. You know, I'm for that type of old school, leave it to Beaver kind of conversation to be had these days.
And it sounds like you're being told something you're not supposed to do. These are kids thrown on there. Knock it off. You're like,
Knock it off. Yeah, your old man
Knock
used to
it
tell
off.
you that. You know, I like
Sure,
it.
yeah, it is kind of old school. I do like that.
Mhm.
All right, so basketball. Okay, took a little hard hit on Saturday. So we talked about the future. Anything else sports wise, Crimson Tide wise? I know there's spring football is about to roll up on us before we know it, and Ryan Grubbs is back in T-Town. People seem to be somewhat happy. I'm hearing some recruiting scuttlebutt going on that's got some people all riled up, but besides all that, everything seems to be heading down the right road.
I had a conversation the other day. I'm just very high on Austin Mack. I feel like he's DeBoer's guy. So he came with DeBoer, right? He left specifically, what seems to be for him. He seems to be an incredible quarterback. So we got to let DeBoer be DeBoer. And then if it doesn't work, then we can start getting mad. We got to let him do his thing for a year. And I think that's part of it, is having his people in there. So I've been to see what Austin Mack can do.
And I think, Josh, there's going to be some quarterback competition this spring and this summer.
Yeah.
I don't think Ty Simpson's automatically stepping into that role. I mean, he could eventually get it, but I think you're going to see some pretty good competition this spring and summer.
Yeah, I do too. I'm excited to watch it. Also, the media spot, to go back to the game, it was just awful as ever.
See? You noticed it, didn't you, Josh?
I was taking pictures of it. I was like showing it to my wife, like, Mary Allen, do you see this?
Yeah.
You see this?
See, Barry, I have started a movement. There's a revolution out there, Josh. We got to get it to Greg Byrne and get in his ear. You got to move the media section. It looks terrible.
It's horrendous.
It's like a big scar,
It is.
It's like a bunch of nerds sitting there writing down little things while they're supposed to. It is. And, it's like, what are you doing?
And now that I brought it to everybody's attention, Josh, you can't help but look.
No.
So now everybody's looking. Every time they go down that end of the floor, you're looking up there.
I've also started looking at other stadiums to see if anyone else does it, other arenas.
They don't.
It's craziness.
They don't do it. They do not do it. Got to get it moved. All right, Josh, as always, my friend, we enjoy getting your input after a big weekend. It was a tough one in T-Town. Maybe next Monday it'll be a big victory over Kentucky. Who knows?
We'll bounce back. Appreciate y'all having me. Have a good week.
Take care.
You too, buddy. Thank you. Man, wow, it was a little down in the dumps, but he'll get over it. He'll be good.
I am one of those guys, I've always kind of got a song in my head. My wife will attest. And sometimes it's a really good song. Like right now, the clubhouse leader is Return of the Mac from Mark Morrison, because he mentioned Austin Mack as the quarterback at Alabama. I'll have that in my head the whole day. And my wife says, don't sing that. Don't sing that, because she'll have it in her head. She'll, it'll be a quiet time, and all of a sudden, Return of the Mac goes in my head. That's like the dadgum media thing at Coleman Coliseum. I never noticed it. I will never notice it. Been there, never. Of course, they reconfigured it since I used to do a lot of games there, but I never really noticed it. It's like Where's Waldo? Once you see Waldo the first time in those puzzles, you'll see him every time. Now I cannot look at the stupid crowd in Tuscaloosa without seeing that media thing. I never noticed it before until John brought it up. Oh.
I'm getting that thing moved, Barry. It drives me insane. It looks terrible. You're right. It looks like a scab.
Join the revolution, people. Join the revolution.
I mean, you just got to move it. It looks terrible, and it just is. It takes the energy out from that end of the arena. You need people jumping up and cheering and waving and throwing stuff on the floor, whatever. But they got to get that taken care of. Does Mac the Knife not also enter the music rotation?
Something? Yeah. I love Mac the Knife. Bobby Darin from the Three Penny Opera. Yeah, that's great stuff. but
That's
that's a
what
little
you were
bit
talking
older.
about.
Yeah.
All
Oh,
right,
well.
Barry, when we come back, the Phantoms Daily Dog. We usually do the Phantoms Daily Dog around this time each and every day. We'll get into that.
I was wondering about that because, there's no more NFL football. There's no more Monday Night Football. What can the Phantom come up with for the Phantoms Daily Dog on a Monday?
Got a good one with the Phantoms Daily Dog. Also, the Victoryland 777 topic wheel. We will spin that, Chris. So get ready for that. Making sure we got everything else taken care of as well.
We'll talk a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like talking a little bit more about that Auburn, Alabama basketball game. If anybody's up for
we
that.
can do that. And can somebody give me some hard reporting, some hard journalism? What was with this tent city allegedly in Tuscaloosa?
And really was the bleep Auburn chant, with hundreds and hundreds of little kids in attendance too, was that really like audible? Could you really tell what the students were chanting?
When we get back, remind me to share a story with a Auburn friend of mine about kids at a game with bad language.
Yeah. Kids at a game with
that.
bad language. Yes.
Yeah.
Sounds like a book title. It's Longshore and McKnight in association with Yellowhammer News, presented by Bud Light.
Well, the Crimson Tide and the Auburn Tigers are really hot in college basketball, and so are the deals at Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Prattville. Alabama and Northwest Florida's largest volume Ram truck dealer is Stivers in Prattville. And at Stivers, they have the largest selection of Ram trucks priced at thousands less than other dealers. How about a 2025 Ram Bighorn 4x4 crew cab with savings of up to $15,000 off sticker price? Also at Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, they have fantastic savings on the entire Jeep lineup, like the Wranglers and Jeep Grand Cherokees. Head over to Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram today on Cobbs Ford Road in Prattville, where Price sells cars and trucks. Dixie Electric Plumbing and Air rallies for you. No matter the problem, Dixie will tackle it. Their licensed and trusted electricians, plumbers, air and garage door technicians are ready to win for you. From toilets to garbage disposals, circuit breakers to HVAC systems, Dixie never fumbles. Don't throw away your hard-earned money on second-string contracting companies. Score big with Dixie. After all, they are your biggest fan. Visit calldixie.com or dial them up locally at 262-2946.
The Destin Connection Seafood Market offers the freshest seafood direct from the Gulf of Mexico with deliveries daily. Snapper, grouper, pompano, flounder, copia, along with medium, large, and jumbo shrimp, hand-picked crab meat, and chucked oysters. They can even cook your order for easy, quick pickup. The Destin Connection can make a po' boy with any of their seafood items that folks in New Orleans rave about. Go by and see them at 3750 Norman Bridge Road or call 288-4272 for pickup orders.
Great to have you listening in with us with Longshore and McKnight. John is in Washington, D.C. I'm in Troy, Alabama, and we have already just kind of sped through the first 90 minutes of our live show.
Yeah, today's a holiday today, and I'm sure in the capital city of Montgomery, there's not a lot going on. Obviously, here in the nation's capital as well, it's a big holiday, President's Day today. So I don't know how everybody's celebrating President's Day, but it is a holiday today, so not a lot of hustle and bustle. But that doesn't mean there won't be competition on the hardwood tonight. And you mentioned there's no NFL. The UFL has not started yet. NASCAR started on Sunday. We're going to touch on that in a moment. Yeah, I think it did. I'm not positive, but I think it did.
All right.
But we are going to talk a little basketball and the Phantoms Daily Dog. And the game we released on Friday.
Yes.
Barry, things like this happen. UCLA
Oh
at
boy.
Indiana.
Oh, I watched the end of that game. Yes.
Yep. We're going
Mm.
for the win late in the game at
Yep.
home. Indiana throws up the three, hits the rim, bounces up. UCLA gets the rebound. We foul. They go to the line. End up winning by 4. We were catching 1.5. That was a tough loss for us on Friday.
Yes. Sometimes it just rattles out.
Sometimes it does.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we're not going to harp on that.
UCLA wins it 72-68. 4-point win, couple of free throws at the end.
Yeah.
Really didn't matter.
No,
you
that
know?
it didn't. I tell you what, that 3 with about 2 seconds to go would have mattered.
It was.
Say that.
Yep. Mhm.
That would have really mattered. But anyway, we'll move on. And today, our Phantoms Daily Dog. I like this one. This one's going to be fun, but you're going to have to stay up. 9 o'clock tip-off tonight on ESPN as the Wildcats of Arizona travel to Waco to take on the Baylor Bears. 9 o'clock tip on ESPN. Arizona, the 13th ranked team in the country, Barry, catching 1.5 at Baylor tonight.
Baylor, a 1.5-point favorite. That is 9 o'clock, and that is a Big 12 game. Remember, Arizona's in the Big 12 these days. My niece, Georgia, she goes to school at Arizona, but she ain't going to be at that one because it's in Waco. It's a home game for Baylor. What do we think about the Daily Dog here? Are we going?
I like Arizona catching the 1.5.
2-2.
I like
Big
Arizona
time.
catching the 1.5 here at Baylor tonight. So that's the Phantoms Daily Dog. Arizona plus 1.5 at Baylor tonight. So
Gotcha.
now your niece, Barry, her name is
Her name is Georgia. Yeah, my brother Mike's one of my brother Mike's 3 daughters.
So
Yes.
my oldest daughter, that is her name. That is her given name on her birth certificate. We call her Catter, but her name is Georgia.
Georgia.
Yeah.
How about that?
I don't know if you ever knew that or not.
I did not know that. We always, she's a beautiful girl. She got a great grade point average, very smart, very proud of her. But we all are Gators, and we salute my brother's breadth of mind to name his oldest daughter Georgia.
How about
because
that?
So yeah, there we go. All right.
Okay, so you mentioned at the break you weren't through talking about the big game on Saturday.
Yeah. We've talked about it and we've heard from Robbie. He's going Chip Diller on us. Remain calm. All is well. And I get it. Bama fans, you need your team needs, when they don that crimson jersey, they need you. They need not the same energy. No chanting profanities, no throwing stuff, no having to get Nate Oates to tell you to knock it off. But they need a packed house. They need boisterous crowd. They need pop-up tents on the outside at Coleman Coliseum. Their next home game is going to be against Kentucky. Then right after that, a Tuesday night, 8 o'clock game next Tuesday against Mississippi State. They need that energy. Meanwhile, Auburn fans, I got to tell you, I don't see those same concerns. Auburn is going to be at home against Arkansas Wednesday night, 8 o'clock. Place will be packed. They've got Georgia on the weekend in Auburn. Place will be packed. John's already mentioned Ole Miss, 3 straight home games for Auburn. Place is going to be packed. At Kentucky, problem. At Texas A&M, big problem. And then end the regular year, and that's it. Bama fans, I hate to say it like this, but you need to try to match Auburn's energy.
It ain't going to happen. I'm just going to tell you, it's just not going to happen. The Tuesday 8 o'clock tip, Barry, that's going to be problematic. A Bama fan, no. And that's the type of game you think, okay, maybe a 9,000 seat arena would be good for a Tuesday night game.
Yeah.
Then you'll have people arguing with, well, what about, what we saw on Saturday when they had 15,000 up there? I get it. I mean, do you have a 15,000 seat arena for maybe 2-3 games a year? I mean, I know they used to sell out gymnastics. Maybe I guess they still do. I don't know. But
I used to be there for some of those. That place was crazy.
I'm just going to tell you, Tuesday night at 8:00, it ain't happening. There again, I don't think you're going to have there will not be as hard of a sellout this week against Kentucky as there was against Auburn.
Oh, yeah, I get that. But what I thought Alabama fans took a major step forward on Saturday. Not only did they show up, they, the students were boisterous anyway. Not only did they show up, not only did they camp out, not only did they, have to be admonished by the head coach, but they also, for the first time, I was very pleased with Alabama fans for not leaving at halftime when the Auburn SGA president had to sing whatever it was, Rammer Jammer or Yay Alabama or something, because you and I have both seen games on both sides. When that happens, half the crowd, it looks as though somebody, pulled a fire alarm. You guys stayed after that.
Yeah, they
and
did.
I applaud you for it. Many times you have not, admit it. So maybe that's a step forward in the Alabama basketball fans' evolution.
Well, I think it is. And I think going to the games has become more entertaining across the board, both Auburn and Alabama.
Yes.
A, because they play very well. And B, it's an exciting brand of basketball. Maybe not so much for Bama fans on Saturday, but I've gone over it many times. You watch games and they'd slow dribble it down the floor, and then they'd sit there at the top of the key and dribble it, and there'd be 7-8 seconds left on the shot clock, and then they'd freak out and jack something up and just hope it went in. Those days are over, and people are more entertained by the type of basketball that's being played now. I think that's a big key to it. I mean, whether they're playing Auburn or Mississippi State, that's what people want to see. And even, there again, people make an appointment to make sure they're watching Auburn and Alabama basketball, if they're not at the game, to watch it on TV. That was not always the case.
No. As a matter of fact, that was rarely the case. Oh, who did we have? Oh, the Aubs?
What time does that game tip off? Really?
I'm going to have to skip that one.
So people are making an appointment to make sure they watch Auburn and Alabama. And Wednesday night, even though they're late tips at 8:00, they'll be watching them. I'll have to go split screen again.
Quad box?
No, that's too much.
Yeah.
I can't go too
All right.
much.
Wheel time.
But I do think, Barry, and kind of, I think Bama fans and Auburn fans, I mean, there's really not much more to say about it. I mean, there again, I think the best team won the game, and I'm not shocked one bit. I'll tell you this, Barry, I would have been more surprised if Alabama had won that game. That would have surprised me a lot more than Auburn to win. I thought Auburn was going to win, and I picked Auburn to win. If Alabama had won, I would have been very surprised.
Well, and the tone of it. Again, there's no rationalizations that, the insecure Alabama fans, anyway, could make about it. We would have won if the referees had done this, or, we would have won if we could. They never led in the game, ever. There was never a point where they had more points than Auburn did.
And Barry, I can do without the refs going up to the scores table and looking at the game. Can you just call it? I know we talk a lot about this in football.
Yes.
But, man, in basketball, it just seems to – I don't know. It doesn't seem to affect me as much in football because maybe I guess other stuff's going on and we're getting to see the replay and the guys are talking about it. But, man, in basketball, they're just showing the two refs sitting there at the scores table waiting to make a decision.
And it takes them forever. I've always said instant replay is the biggest boondoggle in college sports. But I would imagine, say, Friday night, Assembly Hall, Bloomington, Indiana,
Yeah.
at the very end of John screaming at him, hey, he found the three-point shooter. He found the three-point shooter. If they'd have taken a look at that, John would have said, now take your time now. All right, come on, take a good look. Let's make sure. Oh, look, he got him across the arm hairs on his left arm. Right, that's obvious. Point his nose on your face. Give him 3 free throws.
I'll come clean on that.
Yeah.
I wish something would have gone in my favor at Bloomington. I'll admit that. We needed it. But, tonight's a different night. We're taking Arizona plus the 1.5. We've moved on.
And next year, with Nate in charge, maybe Indiana hits that shot.
Man, how about this, folks? The momentum for the Nate Oates to Indiana conversation coming back. I'm not saying he's going to Indiana. I'm not saying he's leaving Tuscaloosa.
No.
But
asking the question.
I do think there are going to be some teams that are going to inquire.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that Alabama is going to have to deal with. For me, as long as they're winning, as long as they're successful, these schools know Nate Oates really has no deep ties to Alabama. He's from the North. He's had a great run here, and maybe he's very happy and has no plans to leave. And I know Alabama fans are hoping that's the case. But you got to know teams are going to make a run. Teams are going to say, hey, are you interested? Maybe one day down the line, he might say, yeah, I think I am kind of interested. So,
what have you got to offer? I'm open,
Yeah, sure.
I would do it.
We'll see. All right, let's take a break, Barry.
Yep.
When we come back, let's hit that Victoryland 777 topic, Will, because I think there's some things on it today that we really need to explore and get into a little bit deeper.
There's some issues to address in association with Yellowhammer News. It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Phoenix Physical Therapy is ready to help patients recover, recharge, and rise. They develop a customized therapy plan for each patient to get them back to enjoying their favorite activities. Their experienced team is committed to providing exceptional care in a professional environment. Whether you're looking to prevent or treat an injury, recover from a recent illness, or recuperate from surgery, schedule an appointment with our clinic and take advantage of our physical therapy, athletic training, workers' comp, and employer solutions service. Experience elevated physical therapy today. Call Phoenix Physical Therapy at 239-9316. That's 239-9316.
Local banking expertise, the newest innovations and technology, personal attention, genuine hospitality. It's all just part of the Riverbank and Trust difference. They invite you to experience it for yourself. Welcome to banking above and beyond at Riverbank and Trust. Locations throughout the River region, locations throughout the state of Alabama. River Bank and Trust.
Jim Massey's Cleaners and Laundry is an Alabama-based, family-owned and operated business that specializes in dry cleaning and laundry, serving the River region since 1941. There are 12 convenient locations across the River region. Find one close to you or call 481-1911 for free pickup and delivery. For 83 years, Central Alabama has trusted Jim Massey's Cleaners and Laundry. You should too.
Okay, we got about 17 minutes or so until the top of the hour. Before we get to our Victoryland 777 topic, Will Bear, I found this very interesting, and we talked about it, I believe maybe Saturday, or Thursday or Friday of last week. Ross Dellinger, who I believe is with Yahoo Sports,
Yes.
had a post, and he's got some information, an article. And basically, and our friend Mark Cumbie sent this to us, longshore and McKnight at gmail.com. Ross says, within the Big Ten and SEC, momentum builds for an expanded playoff with multi-automatic qualifiers per league. Ahead of the SEC Big Ten joint meeting, the industry is closer than ever to a new college football playoff, reimagined league title games, 9-game SEC schedule, and SEC Big Ten scheduling package. I mean, this is like Christmas come early for me. Are you kidding?
I love it. Is even closer to a new college football, closer than ever to a new college football playoff.
Oh,
That's bad writing. They not only are they already got a college football playoff. What do you mean closer than ever to a new college football playoff?
Oh,
The SEC and the Big Ten are doing some politicking, John.
Yeah.
They are the equivalent of knocking on people's doors in Hale County. They're canvassing over there in Marengo and Greene and all those counties saying, I'd like to talk with you about the need in this country for an expanded college football playoff. Ma'am, may I have a few moments of your time? And all of these schools are saying, well, yeah, but make it snappy,
Well, if they need somebody to go knock on some doors for them, I'm your man.
But it's not really like politics. It's not really like a young, fresh-cheeked, dewy-eyed, first-time politician knocking on your door and earnestly shaking somebody's hand and says, hey, I'm Fred Smith. I really feel passionate about the issues here. No, it's like Vito knocking on the door saying, hey, you're late. You're late, okay? Cough it up. The protection money's coming in, and Moose and Rocco are saying, hey, let me see your checkbook. All right, you got a pen? I got a pen. Because the SEC and the Big Ten, they're not going hat in hand to these saying, may I have a few moments of time and show you the benefits of this new ultra dandy vacuum cleaner? No, they've got the brass knuckles out saying, hey, you want to make sure you got your spot at the table, even if it's the little Fisher-Price table behind the big boys? This is what you're going to do when the union vote comes in.
They're tired of schools like Grand Canyon, more on them in a minute, having just as much say-so in a vote that counts just as much as the big boys.
That's Ohio State.
I get it. So let's go do our own thing. Look, since I was a little kid, this is what I've been angling for. I mean, I remember being a little kid going, Dad, why are they playing UT Chattanooga? They suck. So after all this long period of time, it looks like some serious discussion is taking place, has been, will continue. But Barry, I'm feeling the momentum here. I'm hearing and reading and talking to folks that this is moving faster than maybe we think. Big Ten, SEC basically want to rule college football. Everybody else can play too. They don't have a problem with that. And they might let a few other people get in on their little party as well. But they want 4 guaranteed slots in that playoff. They want more TV money. They want to have a scheduling package of SEC Big Ten games during the regular season. More 9-game SEC. This is beautiful. I mean, I don't know if I could ask for anything more. And yeah, I know what people are saying. This sounds so much like the NFL. They play during the regular season and they play again in the postseason. Okay. What's the problem with that?
Still, you got guys like Jimmy Two Times, some of the small-time capos out there, like, the guy who had the wig store that ended up getting the ice pick in the back of his head in Goodfellas. Those guys, they're not peons, but they're not Paulie, and those guys are the ACC and the Big 12. They're saying, wait a minute. I mean, we're not chopped liver over here. You guys want half of all the 16 spots? Well, what about us? What do we want?
So,
and the group of 5 schools, like Ross Dellinger says, the group of 5 is saying, as the CFP evolves, we have a responsibility to student athletes, the integrity of the game, and our fans to build a future that includes expanded access to every conference.
Yeah, that's just fluff. Yeah, expanded access. Yeah, whatever. Let me touch you on the head.
Yeah.
But Barry, this is the thing I find so much of it I find interesting. But here's one thing we've kind of overlooked. We're talking about a 9-game SEC schedule. Oh, great. Big Ten SEC scheduling package. Phenomenal. Love it. Automatic qualifiers. I'll love that too. Reimagined league title games, plural. We kind of touched on this a couple of weeks ago. Possibly an expanded Big Ten and SEC conference championship game weekend. Maybe, I don't know, let me throw this scenario out there to you. Say
the 1 and 2 teams play and the 3 and 4 teams play. So you've got 2 SEC title games, and the 1 and 2, obviously the champion is your champion of the SEC. They go to the playoff. So does the number 2 team that lost the championship game. Then the 3 and 4 get together, and that 3rd team gets a spot in the playoff, and probably the 4th team too. What the heck? But I think you could possibly see multiple SEC and Big Ten championship games to make that weekend a little more exciting, a little more meaningful. And with a league that has 16 teams in one league and 20 in the other, I think their thought process is we need more people in our conference championship weekend than just 2.
Chris the Bammer on the chat line says, the wheel?
Yeah. He also says we need to go to 3 hours. We're working on that, Chris. Be patient. Okay, that's just my 2 cents. I'm ready to go to the wheel unless we got anything else to talk about. But Ross, I'm with you, buddy. Everything you tweeted out, everything I'm hearing and reading, I'm in. I don't know why anybody out there would not be in on this.
I've given 100 reasons down through the years. Let's
spin the wheel.
Let's hit the wheel.
We got 4 big topics on the Victoryland 777 topic wheel. Gern has got it spinning early and often.
Like it.
And it's going to land on welcome home. I hope that's what I get when I arrive at MGM later today. But actually, I was talking about Troy basketball. They're finally at home after a lengthy road trip. Welcome home after a big, big win Saturday night against Arkansas State.
Yep, and that pulls Troy into first place in the Sun Belt Conference right now. With 4 games left, again, the last 2 weeks have been 2 5-day road trips in the last 2 weeks. You've seen me on the road a ton. This week, Troy is at home in 2 games they should be significant favorites in.
Yep.
Louisiana, the Ragin' Cajuns come to Troy on Thursday. That is a 6 o'clock start time. And then on Saturday, it's senior day. It's the final home game of the regular year at Trojan Arena against Coastal Carolina, who has 1 win in league play this year. 1, now that Cliff Ellis has left. And that's at 3:33. And then the Trojans are back on the road after that for the final 2 at Texas State and at Southern Miss. But hallelujah, back at home for 2. Really, really good feeling about that for this Troy team that right now is in first place.
Great game. That's right. It's good to be back home after a lengthy road trip, a lot of traveling for the Trojans. Yep. Of course, the Sun Belt Conference tournaments in Pensacola.
Yep, in Pensacola at the Pensacola Bay Center. And it's one of those, they want to make sure that their best teams make it to the tournament. I remember Rob, he got loose one time, said Scott Cross needs to get let go at Troy, even though he's the only coach to lead his team to 4 straight 10-win seasons in the league. But it's a 1-bid league, and they want to make sure that they give themselves a better chance. So, John, it's 7 days, 7 rounds, no breaks. Unbelievable. Wow. Yeah. But if Troy finishes in the top 4, they'll have a bye to the quarterfinals. If they finish in the top 2, they'll have a bye to the semifinals of this event. Okay. So still a lot to play for.
You better believe it. Okay, Gern, let's get that wheel locked and loaded and spin that thing yet again. Here she comes. Spin away.
Chuck Barris. I'm telling you, Chuck Barris reincarnated. This is right on the line.
Ooh, it's in the
have a tie? No, next up.
Next up, SEC this week, Bear. We kind of touched on it a little earlier today on the program. What is the SEC card looking like for Tuesday and Wednesday?
Well, Tuesday, and again, these are normally the days. Tuesday, there are 6 teams, 3 games. Number 3, Florida at Oklahoma. Number 22, Mississippi State against number 8, Texas A&M from Starkville, and South Carolina versus LSU in a game that doesn't mean a dadgum thing. That's 8 o'clock tomorrow night on the SEC network. As we mentioned, Wednesday is the big day. Auburn at home against Arkansas at 8 on ESPN. At the very same time, Alabama is on the road at Missouri.
Yes,
That's
they
8
are.
o'clock on the SEC network. And also the only other Wednesday game, number 15, Kentucky at home against Vanderbilt at 6 on the SEC network. I like the Commodores in that one.
I kind of do too. Maybe our man C.J. Duncan will like him as well when we talk to him on Wednesday.
Yep. We'll take a break. When we come back, 2 more topics on the wheel in association with Longshore and McKnight, with Yellowhammer News. It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Hey, this is Barry McKnight from Longshore and McKnight, telling you about our friends at River Region Straw. You're not buying sticks or stems and pine cones. You're buying premium long needle pine straw from River Region Straw. Kenny and his staff have access to the best pine straw in the River Region, full of color, that'll last all season long. They've got locations in Montgomery, Prattville, and Auburn, and no order is too big or too small. From a few bales to an 18-wheeler trailer load, River Region Straw also has seasoned firewood for the cold days and nights ahead. Pickup is available, and your order can be delivered if you like. They can even spread your pine straw if that's what you want to have happen, for sure. Call or text Kenny today, 669-5959. That's 669-5959 for all of your pine straw and firewood needs at River Region Straw.
Don't miss your chance to win big at Victoryland Casino. Play the latest, hottest, most exciting games around with fun bonuses and big jackpots. Don't miss out on your free play. Stop by Player Rewards today and check out this month's exciting free play promotions. Come see why our players keep coming back. You'll have more fun at Victoryland Casino, where you can be a winner too. Victoryland Casino, located off I-85 exit 22, Shorter, Alabama. Must be 21 or older.
We are back at it, but I got to stick my earbuds back in. Sorry about that. Just a moment. Sorry, I got to put those back in as we get close to the top of the hour here on a Monday. All right, Barry,
we got
this. Wheel on, I believe, as you mentioned. Let's see two more on that thing. Yep. All right, let's spin it. Go ahead, Gern. Okay, it lands on the green. You're probably wondering, what could this be about? Southwest.
New flights out of Montgomery Regional, I don't know.
But you're on the right path, Barry. We are talking about Southwest Airlines.
All right.
And the reason that I bring that up, my operatives in the field, I'm just trying to get a gauge here. I just kind of want to know what our viewers and listeners would think about this. My operatives in the field tell me that they spotted Alabama head football coach Kalen DeBoer at the Birmingham International Airport boarding a Southwest flight to Phoenix to go see his daughter play softball for the Washington Huskies against Grand Canyon. Now, my operatives, when they told me this, also asked the question, should he not be at the biggest basketball event of the year in person instead of flying out to see his daughter play softball?
And you told yourself, no, blood is thicker than water. If my daughter is playing in a softball game, for the University of Washington, by the way, I think she hit a homer in the game, if I'm not mistaken.
Good for her. Wow. All right.
I know she hit a homer over the weekend, but it was a big tournament. In the great grand scheme of things, I think when you hit the pearly gates and St. Peter's asking, hey, let me check down here. Wait a minute. You thought that your support for Nate Oates is more important than your support for the fruit of your loins?
I'm just saying,
she hit a 3-run homer against Alabama? I don't know what Kalen DeBoer's daughter's name is, but she hit a tater against the Tide?
So maybe he was there supporting the Tide softball team. Maybe that was the angle.
He was rooting for them in every game except actively rooting against Alabama in a softball game.
Well, some people say he should be back in state working on a wide receiver from Alex City.
Yeah.
But
Who now
you know,
Auburn seems to have pulled in the lead.
yeah.
for.
So
6'4",
instead of going
210,
out and
class of
seeing a
26.
softball game, you should maybe be working on some in-state
Mhm.
recruits. But I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. Yeah. And secondly, Barry, should the head football coach of the University of Alabama be flying on Southwest? I mean, does he not get any, use of the university jet for his own use, like a former coach did?
And I guarantee you Lane Kiffin does. Lane Kiffin wears out that university plane in Oxford because he's got kids all over the place,
Sure.
his ex-wife and all that kind of stuff.
I mean, he's going, hey, Greg, can I borrow the jet this weekend to go
If
support the
nobody's using
Crimson
it,
Tide softball team?
yeah.
And he's got to fly. He's got to drive to Birmingham and get on Southwest. I mean, okay, Kalen. All right, last
Here we go.
topic
Last
on the
one.
wheel today
Here we
before
go.
we wrap it up, and we'll spin it just to make it official. And Barry, I think this kind of goes the way as this sport has gone. Checkered flag. We're talking about the Daytona 500. I do understand Donald Trump was there at the race yesterday, but besides that, does anybody know what else happened?
Presidential limo took a victory lap beforehand. Victory lap.
Did they get up on the high banks?
He did, and he had a little girl with him, and they were waving and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, I'm just as enthused that half the crowd, such as it was at the Daytona International Speedway, didn't leave when after Trump was there, as I were the Alabama fans who only started leaving with about a minute to go at the end of the ball game, and the Auburn fans going, "Hey, where are you going? Where are you going? The game ain't over."
It's unbelievable.
But the Daytona 500 was won by William Byron.
Okay.
William Byron.
Do we know who his sponsor is? I have no clue about that guy.
William Byron. Tyler Reddick finished in second place. We could have said that these two guys won the twin hot rod duel offs at Montgomery Motor Speedway, and John and I would have gone for it. We just said, yeah, okay.
If you say so.
I heard of that dude. No, he's from Prattville. No, I had no clue. Jimmy Johnson was third. John and I have actually interviewed him before.
We sure have. I didn't even know he was still racing.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
Anyway,
all right, Barry. So it looks like we got to wrap up this edition of the show. But if you missed it, you're in luck because there again, it streams all day. You can watch Longshore and McKnight at your convenience. YellowHammerNews.com, Facebook. Of course, we're on Spotify as well. X, Instagram. What else have I missed? Facebook. Yep. So we're all over the place.
Facebook.
Make sure you check us out. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Tomorrow, we, of course, will talk with Brian Matthews of AuburnSports.com. Travis Reier from Reier on YouTube and Talking Tide with Travis. So looking forward to that. I will be back in Montgomery at Network Control. Barry will be in Troy. So we'll be back to normal a little bit more without all this beeping and buzzing and clanging of doors that you've had to endure all morning today. Sorry about that, but we kind of got squeezed out of our location on Friday due to some nerd convention going on here today.
Monday tomorrow he'll be free from the nerdopedia there, from the nerdapalooza, and we'll be back. Our thanks to Gurn Jr. as always for making sure everything goes smoothly back at Network Control. For Andy Burcham from the Auburn Sports Network, Josh Harris, Yellowhammer News, and for John Longshore, I'm Barry McKnight. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by